also being on vacation. I have no idea. I don't use Zoom very much, so secret lounge hosting let in action happening, I think.
You want to make me a co-host? I could let people in when they need it.
I don't even know how to do that. I was like clicking trying to see how to do that. I don't know if I have the power because he has the power.
Because you're not a host, so.
I'm not a host, so I think it's just like doing its own Zoom technology thing.
Okay.
And we'll just say, great, it's great. Thank you, Lisa, for offering to help with that.
Sure.
We can, maybe if you can keep an eye on the chat window, just in case I miss anything of questions, that would be super helpful.
Okay.
And we will give everybody a couple more minutes. And we do have Lucille on from the county. She works with the Houseless Community Working Group. And so it's exciting to have her. Hi, Lucille. And so we'll give some time for her to talk during COVID time. We might juggle the agenda to make sure there's enough time. And people might have a lot of questions. And so we'll navigate our agenda as best possible. And we'll get started maybe like just a couple minutes. 12:05 is our usual go time. So thank you all for calling in. For those just calling in, we're going to start in just a couple minutes while we corral the peoples that are calling. Okay. I think I'm gonna just get us started because we have a full roster of humans on here and I wanna make sure we have enough time. So thank you all for calling in to our now bi-weekly Isla Vista Community Network meeting. I'm Melissa, I'm one of the co-facilitators, and we like to start with a land acknowledgement when we can, even though we're not meeting in person, we are still on Indigenous land. And so I'll read the acknowledgement that we use, which comes from the Honoring Native Land Guides. It's from the U.S. Department of Culture and Arts, I'm pretty sure. And if anybody wants to have our version, I'm happy to share the document that I received to have this. We'd like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Chumash people and pay our respects to elders both past and present. We honor the traditional territory as well as story and contributions of the Chumash people to the land upon which we gather and create. So thank you all for joining. This is awesome, actually, it's a great turnout. So we'd like to start with introductions and quick announcements, and since we do have a big deck, try to keep announcements as short as you can. I will just go down the list, and if I miss anybody at the end, we'll come back around. So why don't we start with Ariel? I think you're up first.
Hi, my name is Ariel Bournet with the UCSB Police Department Community Outreach Team. The rest of my coworkers are at an event right now that I'll talk about when I get to the agenda item, and then Justin is on vacation. So if you have any questions for Justin or my team, you could give them to me and I'll relay them to them.
Thanks, Ariel. How about Ash?
Hi.
Hi, we're just doing intro and quick introductions and announcements, if you have anything.
My quick announcement from Food Not Bombs is we're taking donations of tents and maybe some other supplies. But yeah, if anyone has the tent that they don't need, we will find someone who does. Let's give it to. So the other thing that maybe most of you know, but Rec and Park Board tonight meeting about houseless encampments. Policy is kind of important tonight at 5:30. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Ash. How about Bianca?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bianca with Standing Together to End Sexual Assault. And I just want to let everyone know that we are doing our prevention presentation services virtually. So if anyone is interested in hosting me for a group or a class or whatever it may be, they're in Spanish and English, ages 13 and up, and I'll be more than happy to go and present to y'all. So you can go ahead and email me or give me a call as well, and I can leave my information on the chat.
I was actually going to suggest anybody making an announcement that has a meeting attached to it or a cool next step action, also drop it in the chat and I can copy and paste that at the end and pop it onto Facebook or out into another email for reminders. So feel free to use that chat for that purpose. Thanks, Bianca. How about Alexander? Alexander, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, me.
Yeah, we do introductions, and I don't know if it's your first meeting or not, we just like to share who's on the call, and then if you have a quick announcement from whomever you're representing, if anything, this is the great time to do that.
Yeah, hi. I literally just clicked the link, so I was kind of out of it. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm IVTU. I haven't been to this meeting before. I just got actually added to the Facebook group. So I'm just here to figure out, get more in touch with all the other organizations and figure out what's going on.
Awesome. Thank you for being bold and clicking the link and calling in. We go kind of in alphabetical order, so sometimes you can be in the hot seat right when we start. So thanks for also being brave and saying hi.
Perfect. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, of course. How about Camille?
Hi, everyone. My name's Camille. I'm part of UCSB's Department of Health and Wellness. This is my first meeting. I'm kind of subbing in for Joanna Hill, who's been attending. So yeah, thank you for including us. We don't have any announcements today, but we're very, very happy to be a part of this meeting.
This is great. It's fun to have first-time call-ins. It makes it feel like we've got something going that people are feeling connected to, and that makes the network even stronger. So this is awesome. How about George?
George Thurlow, Chancellor's Office. Thank you. No announcements.
Thanks, George. How about Jay?
Jay Freeman, Isla Vista Community Services District, but not here representing today. I'm just here in my personal capacity. I'm also in the Goleta Valley Library Advisory Commission representing Isla Vista, but not here in that capacity either.
Thanks, Jay. And how about Joan?
I'll just wait till the 3rd district report.
Okay, thank you for calling in, Joan. And Jeremy?
Jeremy Rourke, food co-op board member and Food Not Bombs volunteer.
Thanks, Jeremy. And how about Julia?
Hi there, Julia Leary. I'm from Food Not Bombs. Just to add some more detail off of what Ash said, the meeting tonight for IPD, they're going to be discussing and possibly voting into place a new policy regarding houseless encampments in Isla Vista. So I'm actually it is now a public document, so I'm gonna go ahead and link that policy into the chat as well as the meeting link. If anyone has any input they would like to give, it would be awesome to show up this evening. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Julia, and thanks for sharing the document. That's super helpful. I see Gina's name on the list, so I think we can say welcome back, Gina. And if you're on, if you want to do a quick intro, and that you're back.
Hi, I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Welcome back, Gina. We missed you. Okay, moving on to, sorry, got out of order. How about Kim?
Hi, everyone. Kim Ekwanoa from UCSB's Dean of Students Office. It's great to see you all.
Hi. And Lisa Oglesby.
I'm struggling to unmute. Hi, Lisa Oglesby, Isla Vista Food Co-op Board of Directors. No announcements.
Awesome. And other Lisa Lisa Osborne.
Hi, Lisa Osborne, KCSB News, and the weekly Inside Isla Vista radio show. We've been doing lots of great COVID-related shows, and we now have all of our past shows on easily accessible on our website. So I put a link right in the chat. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. And Lori?
Hi, I'm Lori Goodman. I'm the Executive Director of Isla Vista Youth Projects. We are open. We have children coming in for childcare every day. It's terrifying, but also good.
Valid response. Thank you for being here through all of that also. How about Lucille?
Sure. Hello. Thanks for having me. My name is Lucille. I'm with the County of Santa Barbara Community Services Department and Housing and Community Development Division. Lots of layers there, and you'll be hearing from me under Agenda Item 3.
Thanks for calling in, Lucille. And Mark?
Hi everyone, Mark Fuxovich, he, him, his, or my pronouns. I'm the chair of the Public Safety Commission and a dedicated resident in Isla Vista.
Thanks, Mark. And Omari?
Hello, everyone. Omari Pryor, UCSB's Alcohol and Drug Program. I don't have any announcements, but I do want to let everyone know that even though Embarcadero Hall is closed, our department and all of our services are still continuing remotely. So we are still open for business.
Awesome. Thanks, Omari. And how about, I see Luis called in. Luis, are you on? You just called in. Luis, can you hear me? I think I just got you. We'll come back. How about Spencer?
Hi, everyone. Spencer Brandt from the Isla Vista Community Services District.
Great. And I see Stitches. That could be Janet. Who is Stitches?
Hi, everybody. I'm Janet. I'm on the board of the Isla Vista Food Cooperative and happy to be here.
Thanks, Janet. And Sydney?
Hi, my name is Sydney Trowbridge. I'm a UCSB student and I was invited by KCSB.
Cool. Thanks for calling in, Sydney.
Thank
How
you.
about Viran?
Hi everyone, it's Viren Singh. Sorry, problem unmuting. No, nothing to add. Just being here. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Vir. How about Viviana?
Hi everybody, Viviana Marzano, Office of Student Life. One announcement, we have basically 4 weeks left to complete the census. Isla Vista is low on the percentage, but you know, Jonathan Abud did a paid campaign in social media and it seems it's working. You will get messages from me to asking you to basically forward to your listservs. And I'm working with a publicist to see if we can have some ads on television and radio, basically for the Spanish community in IV and some of our students. So I hope the percentage increases these last 4 weeks.
Thank you, Viviana, for your tireless effort in getting people to take the census. The co-op has a poster up. You can notice it and maybe share it with more people too. Get counted. Let's see, how about Yasmin?
Hi everyone, Yasmin from Associated Students, EVPLA.
Thank you for calling in. Did I miss anybody on this really bountiful list of 30 people that called today? Did everybody get to introduce?
Just really Elijah, community engagement for Use Cannabis.
Thanks, Elijah. Sorry I missed you. The list kept repopulating.
And
no problem.
Also, Luis here from Isla Vista Rec and Park District.
Thanks, Luis. Thank you for calling in. Oh, this is great, everyone. We're right on time. So now we're going to move into our 3rd district report. And then with that, we can actually link, Lucille, if you want to just tag on to the end of that, and we'll kind of bridge into COVID from how you're talking after 3rd district. So that should work out great. Take it away, Joan.
Okay, I'm Joan Hartman, 3rd District County Supervisor, representing Isla Vista. And 3 things, and then I don't know if Gina has anything she wants to, we haven't choreographed our presentation today, but the first thing on my list is that the board did approve a cannabis retail evaluation process and form. And so now in the 3 community plan areas in the 3rd district, we're eager to have the community weigh in on what community benefit is to that community. So we need to start working, Gina, perhaps, and Melissa, we'll use the Ivy network to organize the conversation for Isla Vista on that topic. The second issue is that yesterday the Board of Supervisors had a report from our Women's Commission, and Viviana was recognized as the outstanding woman in the 3rd district, and that was very exciting. And she does so much work on voter registration and census and things that seem, you know, on the surface kind of dull, but really are critical to everything else. So kudos to Viviana. And the final thing I want to talk about is COVID. And I've had a chance to see some of the KCSB broadcasts, and good for you. That's really super. They were two things on the agenda that were discussed yesterday. One was just COVID in general and what are the rates in the county. Overall, we're having decreasing rates of COVID, whether it be hospitalizations, whether it be use of ventilators, whether it be positive tests, all that's going down throughout the county, which means that we can apply for waivers for our elementary schools. So that's really important. The only place where it's going up is Isla Vista. And this isn't peculiar to UCSB or Isla Vista. This is happening throughout the country where people are coming back for college. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, they had students come. A week later, they had to close because of the rising cases. So we know that we've got a spike in cases in Isla Vista, and we need really an all-out effort to work with students. And I know the CSD is doing things, and the radio and the county, we've had a number of meetings and efforts outlined, and we're meeting today with a broad group from UCSB. The thing that came up at the board yesterday was just an effort to put an additional tool in our toolbox. Right now, we have ambassadors and we have education, and we're going out to people and trying to educate them about social distancing and not gathering and what the health orders require of business procedures. Unfortunately, though, fortunately, that works for most people, and it's education and outreach. And then the other option is actually using law enforcement, and that's kind of a heavy-handed option. So what came to the board was an administrative penalty that could be something in the middle. And it wouldn't be issued by armed officers, but instead other designated people. We issue administrative penalties, for example, through planning and development or through the fire department, people who don't comply with rules. It came as an urgency ordinance. If we had had 4 votes, we would have had it go into effect immediately. There's quite a division on this issue of civil rights and individual freedom, especially the North County supervisors and the South County supervisors. So we didn't get 4 votes, we got 3 votes. So it will be brought back just as a regular ordinance, not an urgency ordinance. And again, this would be a last resort, not the first resort, but for egregious and ongoing violations of businesses or people hosting gatherings that really pose a threat to the community at large. If we can't get things under control in Isla Vista, the university won't be able to operate. And moreover, we've had something like this happen with the Lompoc prison, where the numbers were going up so much that it meant our county as a whole, and that's how we have to count our numbers, fell beneath the state um, state numbers that we have to comply with in order to have certain kinds of things open up. So we don't want Isla Vista to become the reason why businesses and schools have to close down. That would create a lot of antipathy that we certainly don't want to see. UCSB and Isla Vista are really a crown jewel for the county in so many, many ways. And so I'm eager to see it be a leader in how we address COVID, but that's going to require a lot. We don't really know how many people who are going to be coming back to Isla Vista are UCSB students. We've never had a good count on how many are City College students. And then we hear, and I don't know how to, verify this, but that USC, for example, that landlords are reaching out to students from other institutions saying, as long as you're having to learn virtually, come and enjoy beach life here in Isla Vista. So, so that's a real puzzle, is how to reach out and make those people feel part of our community and responsible for health and well-being. So that's my report, and I'm open for any questions if Melissa, you want to open it up that way.
Can I say something? I want to thank Joan and Gina for nominating me for that award. And I also want to share that Joan recorded a super, super heartfelt message about my work. And I feel it's our work, because people don't work in isolation. But I wanted to thank them for that.
You're a treasure in our community.
That was really sweet. I feel extra emotional. It feels so nice to be in something refreshing and inspiring. And this, the Ivcn happens to be a wonderfully connected container that really does show up lots of bits of goodness, not just for Isla Vista and the superheroes that do a lot of this legwork out here, but then the allies and stakeholders that really support this to happen. So it's a special network. It's an important group. And I think a lot of us feel grateful that we can have this touch point as often as we do. So thank you for that. And then, yes, let's take questions for Joan. This is a great time. We have a few minutes and we can kind of maybe blend this into the next update. I don't know, Yasmin, if you have a lot from AS, maybe we can just we'll just roll through the agenda as best we can. So any questions for Joan? Thoughts?
I do. This might be a question that everyone can answer, including like AS and the university. But I was wondering, what exactly is the status of testing in Isla Vista? Is there a plan to roll out more testing in the county, free testing because obviously if we're trying to contain an outbreak, the best way to know what exactly is going on is a lot of testing and affordable testing. So I was just wondering what exactly the status of that currently is.
I can speak to that a little bit. The execs and I had a meeting with one of the directors of student health, I believe, and the university is currently in the process of getting FDA approval for a mass testing that would be their goal would be to test everyone twice a week, but they were thinking that might be a lot. So it might be everyone on campus for a week, then off-campus people for a week. But they're still waiting on that FDA approval.
And as far as the county goes, we don't have an IV site. We do have 3 sites that are run by the state throughout the county, and then there are other county-run sites as well. The governor, however, just made an announcement that he's going to double the testing throughout the state. A lot of the county resources come from the state through the county to public health. So, that getting enough tests and getting the results of the tests back in a timely way have both been hurdles for us, but I think we're about to make a big change for the better. And I guess I'd like to hear if we could get a testing site in IV with, at least one day a week or something. There's a lot to set these things up, but it is something that I could try to achieve. See what's involved if you think people would use it. UCSB does have it for its students. So then the question is, do we have enough other people who would avail themselves of it?
I heard from the public health officer that they were going to put a testing site at the Goleta Community Center. And
Yes, it's moving from Earl Warren to the Goleta Community Center.
That then maybe in September after Earl Warren ends.
Exactly.
I think it would be interesting. I'm not super up on the demographic split between City College and UCSB out here, but it feels interesting to approach the idea of a local testing site because it's hard for some people to leave Isla Vista. I mean, it's really hard to get to Earl Warren on like a bus. And if you're not a UCSB student and you want to have, or you need to have closer testing access, it seems feasible that there would be a population of students out here also that came for City College, but then also just our local residents that don't have an easy way out to a testing site. That seems
I'll chime in on that note. And Ash just said it themselves. The Isla Vista Neighborhood Clinic has some testing that's going on, and I know this because I got tested myself. I would say that the hours are not convenient. You need to have had like close contact. That is a requirement, and they put you on hold for about 50 minutes. So I would say this is not good for students and people of working class, but if you don't have a car like I don't, this is kind of your only / best option.
You have to pay for that test, Mark?
I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't get how insurance works, and I do have it. And so I think my insurance covers it, but I'm not certain.
Okay.
Well, just closing, this is helpful, and I'll take it back and see what we can do to get better hours and quicker appointments or response.
There are groups, I think, John, you're connected in with some of the messaging that's being written out, like Beloved Community can maybe, there's somebody here to do a quick report, but working on sort of a different approach to how education is being done for particularly the student community around what is realistic to think for students, like, how to help a student have a tough conversation or set a boundary with their housemates. And so, thinking about messaging and education from a lot of different angles, including the peer-to-peer piece and showing good examples and making it easier to kind of lean into a hard conversation or setting boundaries or setting parameters. And so it'll be interesting. And there's some good comments in the chat. Also, Lori's mentioning, once it moves to the community center, it's easier to get there than Earl Warren. That's true. If others have ideas or thoughts for Joan, we can also pass them through the Ivcn email. So you can just email me and I can pop them to her or more questions. Anything else for Joan right now?
I'm going to throw something out there. I don't think that we have our friends from the sheriff's office on here today. So I feel bad, but I've spoken with them about it a little bit. I've been getting some concerns from the community about sheriff's deputies not wearing masks, and just thinking, especially at this crucial time where we're working together to try to increase compliance with social and physical distancing and mask wearing, it would be great for that positive example to be set. And so I don't know if others feel the same way, but I just wanted to throw that out there as a topic of discussion.
Hey, Spencer. Yeah, we've been fielding, as you know, some people don't know the difference between the departments. So we've been getting some of the complaints as well, even though it's not us who they're complaining about. And I obviously I can't speak on behalf of the sheriff's office. I'm sure Justin would have something to say about it if he was here. But I know for a fact that they've been directed to. And so I'm not familiar with their complaint process, but I would encourage everyone to go through the proper complaint process. If you see a specific deputy or asked to speak to an on-call manager, and that goes the same for UCPD. You know, we've had instances already where, you know, you're going to a hot call and you were in your car by yourself where it wasn't necessary, and you jump out of the car and then you're like, oh my God, I don't have my mask on. And you're like, do I run back to my car? Do I handle the call? And people have called to complain about us as well. And so there are instances where, you know, it's human beings, but in general, like you said, just walking around, you know, we all as law enforcement got to be better at that particular thing. So I mean, this is literally why we have these structures in place. Make sure you're calling, asking for supervisors, making formal complaints. This is a very real public health issue, and you're 100% accurate. The law enforcement should be the ones setting, being leaders in that regard. So, I mean, you know, Camarena, I would encourage you to, if you haven't already, definitely reach out to Camarena, let them know what's going on. As you know, Isla Vista Foot Patrol is a little different right now because of COVID, so it's not necessarily the same personnel who's always there. But definitely make sure you reach out to us, and we'll make sure how to address it when it comes up. But yeah, no, we're aware of the issue, and some of it is just human nature. You forget every now and then. But I know for a fact both of the administrations from UCPD and the sheriff's office have given very clear directions that we shall wear them anytime we're on duty. So.
And I just wanted to add, I know Lieutenant Camarena is very sensitive to this, and law enforcement has to be a good model. And I think it was mentioned that Justin is on vacation. He's on paternity leave, and he has a new little baby born, I think, 3 weeks premature. So that's where he is, taking care of his newborn.
Thank you all for that. I want to echo the challenge of the reinculturation when you've done a job for a really long time and then suddenly you have to remember the mask. And I think the perspective of having to make a quick decision about grabbing the mask or moving forward with something like what Ariel was saying, our work is not the same at the co-op. It has been very tricky to integrate masks because some of our work is hard, especially if like you wear glasses and you have to be down stacking a pallet in 100-degree weather on asphalt. It is a little bit unsafe to wear the mask all the time. And so learning how to integrate this new requirement into, you know, everyday work where you've done it for so many years is hard. And so I think we're all, you know, having these conversations is really important. And then working together for that greater good is the ongoing nature of the network. So it's awesome that we can have these talks and then reach out to those to help keep setting that stage. And yes, to being the best examples we can. Awesome. So if we're clear on the specific piece of COVID, maybe we can move over into Lucille, because she's joined us especially to talk a little bit about the houseless working group I'm not actually exactly sure. I don't even want to phrase it because I don't want to get it wrong. So Lucille, why don't you take it away and then we can pepper you with questions and such. Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thanks for having me. There are many, many groups that are working on this issue. So I think there is a group that meets every Wednesday that is called the Isla Vista Houseless Group, and a few reps from that regular meeting, I believe, are on here as well. I think we've been calling ourselves the working group or encampment working group. So I mentioned before I work for the county, and I am new to homeless programs and housing, and new to the county as well. So I was asked to help facilitate this group around encampments in Isla Vista, and want to thank there are a few different organizations who have been part of these efforts. Many of them are here. So Home for Good, United Way, Food Not Bombs, CSD, RPD, Foot Patrol, the 3rd District Office, of course, UCSB, Community Gardens, Behavioral Wellness, Public Health. So really want to thank all of those agencies and individuals who have been regularly working on these efforts. We came together near the end of May to talk about some of the issues that are surrounding the increase in footprints of encampments in Isla Vista. So the group discussed broadly concerns and then also potential solutions. The concerns that we kind of brainstormed together fell into 2 general categories. One, concern for the health and safety of those experiencing homelessness. and 2, concern for the environment and safety of the greater Isla Vista community and visitors. And then the group also worked on potential solutions to address those concerns. And those also fell into 2 categories, some more immediate and short-term or longer-term solutions as well. So I just wanted to kind of give that basic overview and then open it up to questions. I'm going to put my contact information into the chat box, but I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of time for people to ask questions. And if I'm not able to answer them, then I can take them back to my supervisor and respond later.
So we can open for questions. I also want to remind that somebody popped into the chat the document that will be talked about in the RPD meeting tonight. And so I don't know if that's a useful addition to sort of have open for those that are not as familiar or didn't know about any of that moving forward. So now I think we can open to questions for Lucille. Anybody has?
I have a question. What do you think has to happen to build the capacity to offer everyone housing?
A lot of things. So funding and staffing and resources. So something that the group has talked about quite a bit in terms of longer term solutions are making sure that we do have enough housing and the right type of housing interventions to make sure that people, if they are experiencing homelessness, that it happens rarely and that it happens only once, it's not recurring, and that we move people from homelessness rapidly back into housing and make sure they have the supportive services that are needed. So certainly funding, but also I think something that this group can definitely help with is any sort of relationships or networks that you have that can break down that barrier between potential property managers or landlords is always helpful. So we have recently just have a lot of state funds that have gone out into the community, especially around rapid rehousing, outreach support, and landlord incentives. But if you're just doing a letter or a mailing out to landlords kind of blind, they may be less receptive. So if any of you have that relationship, that really helps break down that barrier. Just even an email introduction is really helpful.
Thanks. So do you think grant writing or what could be help get more funding?
Sure. Yeah. So like I mentioned, we have an unprecedented amount of funding, especially from the state right now, dedicated to housing and homelessness. So there are funds available that haven't been put to use yet because of that barrier with potential landlords or with the development of any sort of new sites or housing. So we are regularly writing grants and responding to grants and applying to any federal or state funds. And a lot of the funding actually funnels through the county and cities and other jurisdictions as well. So that's all posted on our website, which I can put that into the chat box in a second as well. But there are other sources, of course, to help fund supportive services out there. But I can really only speak for what the county applies to or has available.
I have a question. It might be very oversimplified, but I'm not super involved with this work. Is there a goal to have all of these folks housed? Is that a desire of the houseless community? It feels that's an oversimplification. Or is the goal to create an opportunity just for a long-term agreement for some type of shelter in place, whether it's encampments or moving people into housing?
Yeah, so all of the above. So you asked if there are short-term solutions or long-term. So the shorter-term solutions, you may have seen in the past week, we did have sanitation services from Quick Response out in Isla Vista. So they went through the parks, and this is something that the working group made sure to do plenty of outreach beforehand and distributed information, distributed pre-measured caution tape to folks before the sanitation services. So we tried to do those kind of immediate or short-term goals. We're also working with a couple of sites for storage bins for individuals so that the the encampment footprints aren't as large. But of course, the solution to homelessness is housing. So we certainly want to make sure that we are increasing our housing stock as well. And I'll give a little plug for, we have a phase 2 community action plan to address homelessness that my final draft is due tomorrow, and then it goes through a few different levels. So probably by the end of this calendar year. And that's been presented in a few different public meetings, especially among elected leaders. So we've kind of broken down what types of housing interventions are needed in what regions and associated costs with those housing interventions.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Melissa, may I chime in? This is Joan.
Yep.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank Lucille for bringing all these different interests together and helping people understand these issues. And there is a lot of money coming from the state, and we're trying to buy hotels or apartment buildings, motels, and we've gotten very close, but we haven't quite been able to close the deal. So that's an issue. And then the second issue is really providers who can offer up the needed services, and even for a temporary safe parking or safe camping, that is one of the key issues. Is you have to offer up a range of services, and having people who are equipped to do that, they're in short supply. So we're working on this, and it's something of very, very high priority in the county. And then even once we have housing like Project Roomkey, getting people to accept it, because there are certain rules people have to live by, and not everybody wants to do that. So there are so many associated issues with this, and we're lucky to have Lucille because she's kind of made a profession of understanding this, as well as the CSD. I hope they'll talk about their awards and what they did at the IV beautification, because that was pretty inspiring at their last meeting.
And you just reminded me, thank you. We did put out a request for proposals for outreach to encampments countywide a couple of weeks ago. The deadline is tomorrow, and we've had a couple of groups reach out to us, say that they are interested, but I have not received any actual proposals. A lot of agencies will wait until the last minute, but that is countywide. So while we're here in Isla Vista talking about the encampment issues here, it is countywide, statewide, and nationwide. If you go to that link that I posted in the chat a little bit ago, you'll see under the news and announcements and under the homeless assistance tab, the link to the request for proposals. So that's for professional outreach teams with a special focus on public health and engaging folks who are in encampments. But as far as the kind of safe zones or sanctioned encampment sites, like Supervisor Hartman mentioned, we do still need a site for that. So a site that would be large enough, or even if we do have more than one site, staffing is still a challenge. I'm one of the people who was leaving the Santa Maria High School shelter at 2 o'clock in the morning to come back and then get back there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Same thing with Project Roomkey. So I was there usually from about 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So staffing is a challenge. I can definitely vouch for that. We want to make sure that we have space, and that we also have staffing to meet the needs of the people who don't have a place to shelter in place.
One final thing, if I may, I'm a big fan of the idea, at least, of the tiny homes, and I know there are some others who are participating today. The money that we get from the state requires that we get people in housing. I believe it's within 3 months. The fastest it's ever been done with tiny homes is 4 months, and that you have to create all the infrastructure for water and sanitation and electricity, and so it doesn't fit within the short time frame that the state allows for use of its money. So we haven't lost sight of that idea either, but it's not imminent.
That's funny. I was thinking that
I
exactly. thinking tiny houses, but there you go. There's that idea. Sorry, Spencer, I cut you off.
No, no worries, Melissa. I just wanted to jump in and echo some of the comments that Supervisor Hartman made, thanking Lucille for all the work that she has put in to our Isla Vista encampment working group. We've been meeting regularly for, it feels like forever at this point, because time is not a concept anymore under the stay-at-home order. But really, it's been really great to see, and some of the things that she's helped coordinate are the cleaning that took place this past week of trash takeaway services for some of the encampments in Anasoyo Park and Sueño Orchard. So really appreciate all the work that she's put in. I want to echo something that I think I mentioned last week, which is that one of these questions that I think I was too embarrassed to ask for a long time, which is how do homeless people will get housed? And the answer, it turns out, is outreach. Outreach is such a critical component because we don't know if people are eligible and ready to be put in this housing if they are not in this coordinated entry system. And so that's a really key component that we as the CSD have tried to help fill, given that there is sort of this outreach shortage across the county right now, as houselessness continues to be on the rise as we sort of enter this recession. And it's something that we're excited about and is a part of our new contract with the United Way, a really excellent partnership that we have going. I think many of you are familiar with the Isla Vista Beautiful program, where we partner with the United Way to hire folks who are experiencing homelessness or have recently experienced homelessness. And through that program, we've really been able to help folks get back on their feet. People like Ron, who many of you will know from being out there in the community, pulling weeds, abating graffiti, sweeping, all of that stuff. He's really been able to, I think, turn his life around in a positive direction because of the employment opportunities. And it's just really such an inspiring story. And I think ultimately, really, our goal has always been to sort of be a model where other areas of the county, other jurisdictions, other cities, the political discourse is a lot about focused on how do we move people out of sight, out of mind. Our goal has always been to accept people experiencing homelessness as members of our community and try to work with them in order to improve their circumstances. And so I think that's really the goal of the programs that we have.
Thanks for that, Spencer. I think those of us that have been in the community for a long time also, like I went to college here, and like we have some of the same folks for so many years who make this their home, and you see the same people from when I was like 17 and I came to Isla Vista, 22 years later, holy crap, so many years later, and you know these people as a fabric, and they're your neighbors and in your neighborhood. And I think that we're onto something, and having this many brilliant brains and hearts working on this is something that will be productive. And now there's resources, so it's really just figuring out, just like the most oversimplified word, but getting to that step of how to best utilize. So we have about 12 minutes left. Does anybody have any more questions to ask for Lucille? Jeremy, were you about to talk, I think?
Yeah. If I could jump in, I'd love to. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa, for what you said about the long-term houseless, and also Spencer for the last part of what you said of like reasons we want to get people into housing, not just to get them out of sight, but to take care of them, to work with them, and Food Not Bombs principles are, this is not about charity, it's about solidarity. So that's where we come from at this as well. I guess I love that we're moving toward the direction of permanent housing solutions. I agree that's the direction we need to move in. But I also want to emphasize the needs that are out there right now while housing is awaiting, like people are awaiting getting into housing. Just this last week, there was another death in Anascoyo Park. And I think that brings up to the houseless population, counting a death earlier in the year at Embarcadero Lofts. I believe that makes it 3 or 4 total. And so there are issues that I think need to be addressed in the meantime before housing can be made available. And I think, you know, how we work with the RPD in particular, as the houseless community most of them tend to be residing in the parks, is very important. I would just encourage everyone to be part of that conversation, and any service agencies that can see ways of working with the needs that the houseless population are having right now, like today and tomorrow, as well as the longer term. I really would appreciate that.
Thank you, Jeremy. Is there any other comments on what Jeremy is saying? Okay. So this topic is something that seems like, as we've been putting it back on the agenda, we're meeting bi-weekly, so it seems like there will be more progress made. At least we have the IVRPD meeting tonight, which feels substantial, with the document that was shared around a policy being looked at to move forward for shorter and long-term planning. And so does it feel helpful for everybody to just keep this as a regular running agenda item, and that those that have a more ongoing action role or leadership role can take point in these meetings for sharing updates? Does that feel helpful for everyone? Okay. I'm not necessarily that person, so I might like nominate some folks via email, or if Lucille has time to join us sometimes, that might also be really helpful. So that's great, and I'm really appreciative that she joined today, and for those that have stuff to add for this complicated yet incredibly important work that we're doing. So thank you. We have about 10 minutes left on the agenda, and so I wanted to open it up for if there's anybody that wants to talk from Associated Students, any of the entities. I know Yasmin's here, and we have a couple from IVTU, so why don't you guys take it, and then we'll spend the last 5 minutes with law enforcement. Does that feel good? Okay. AS, take it away.
I can start. About our masks, we added 9 new locations around IV to distribute the free mask project we have going on. We also just received our packaging for thermometers, and we're delivering 2,000 to res halls, and 3,000 will be delivered through Portal Center and other distribution centers like the co-op and the clinic. We're hoping to have those out by next week, because packaging is taking a bit longer than usual. We also created an IV resources guide that includes all the resources provided by AS, both non-students and students in IV, and hopefully we can have that out by next week. We also have a Prop 21 and Prop 16 coalition going in collaboration with the Statewide Affairs Office. And we're basically putting together a campaign in favor of reinstating affirmative action and also rent control for local governments. That's pretty much it from the EVPLA office.
Thank you for that great update. Do you have anybody else from AS that wants to go quick? Anybody from IVT with any updates?
Sure, I can give a little one. Nothing new, just wanted, for those who don't know, IVTU has an emergency fund for UCSB students that will be closing on September 1st. So if y'all know anyone who would benefit from $300 in the categories of moving, storage, or temporary housing, we got that covered. Also, thanks to the CSD for putting out, and the county, for everyone putting out the information about the new county rental assistance program. That's awesome. Deadline for that, I think, is the 4th at 5 p.m. So thanks for everyone for making, putting that out there for people in Isla Vista. In terms of that, I think that's all we have for right now.
Thank you for that, Alex. Law enforcement, I think Ariel is who we have on the call. Do you want to take us home with any announcements or updates?
I will take you home. I'll make it quick. It's only me today. Sorry to disappoint. But like I mentioned earlier, it's for a good reason. The other part of our team, so Gary, Tori, and Derek are all at right in front of the Starbucks in Isla Vista on that corner, handing out PPE to the public. So they're handing out masks, and they have hand sanitizer pump, and they have COVID safety literature. The plan is to do that every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 11 to 2 p.m. They're going to be out there. Gary asked me to ask if there's any group organization that has masks or thermometers or hand sanitizer or specific literature you want handed out. Please contact him so he can facilitate that. He said he wants to go for as long as he has the resources. So he's constantly seeking to get donations and keep that going. This is totally in line with what we've been saying our hope would be for law enforcement, which is voluntary compliance through education. So law enforcement has no interest in writing tickets for this or enforcing anything by that. That's not our desire at all whatsoever. We want to give people the information they need to keep themselves safe, and they do it voluntarily. We don't want to enforce anything. And so Gary kind of put the talking to practice and actually started setting stuff up to make that possible. So kudos to them for being out there. I like to talk, so I'm here, but they like to do action, so they're there. So support them if they can. I will tell, I was messaging Spencer earlier about the point he brought up about law enforcement not wearing masks, and I felt a little bit bad because that conversation felt a little short, but like I said, I'll just reiterate it. Hey, call us out. If we're doing something that's not right, call us out. That's literally what community policing is all about, is each other, keeping each other safe. Not to be an apologist, I will say though, if you want to increase a little bit of empathy, police uniforms are extremely hot, and wearing those things with a mask all day is brutal. I was working patrol a week or two ago. Our department has a very strict mask policy. You get in a lot of trouble if you don't wear it. So I'm wearing it all day like I'm supposed to. And I actually overheated, like to the point where my temperature kept rising and there's nothing I could do to stop. So I had to go back to station, take off my shoes, take off my shirt, take off my vest, and my temperature kept going up. I was like, oh gosh, am I going to call a hospital? But I run hot, I sweat a lot. And so it is very, very tough if you're out and about with a vest on and all the gear we carry to wear it all day. But that's no excuse. We have to be setting an example. So like I said, I share that only because I like to think of you all as like you have a personal police officer, at your service. So that's just a little bit of the background on why it can get tough. And we have 10 to 12 hour shifts. So 10 to 12 hours carrying all that gear. It's been a heat wave. Once again, no excuse. If you see it, call it out. We appreciate it, but that is, like I said, that is one of the reasons why it could get difficult as well. But that's all we got. You all rock. This is a great group. We appreciate you tolerating our presence.
Thanks, Ariel. I just want to reiterate also, like what I said earlier, we don't have to wear a vest and all of the gear, and being on blacktop, down stacking, and especially our workers that wear glasses and stuff, it's a huge change. And it gets tricky when we have people pushing back on us without having to wear masks coming into the co-op for that 10-minute interval, and we're wearing them for, I've been alone in the office, but about 8 hours a day or longer for, some of us that work long. And it's a lot. It's a huge lifestyle change. And we're getting used to breathing deeply. I can't breathe as well with my mask on. So it's a learning curve too. So we appreciate everybody's patience with all of us as we're humans trying to set a good example in a community that also not everybody is trying to set the same example. So we're working together to make it better. One thing I wanted to say, there's a lot of great announcements today and a lot of great opportunities to have us post in the Facebook group. The Ivcn Facebook group is really meant for Isla Vista specific community engagement announcements. It's not for specific, it should be bipartisan, so we're not going to promote specific political stuff, especially coming into voting time. But if it's something that's like a general meeting, for example, like an IVRPD meeting that we want to remind more people about, all that kind of stuff is really great for us to post through the Facebook group. So we're not sending out more emails. So you can feel free to request the post, and then we approve the posts. We decline them if they're really not specific to the Ivcn's work. Generally, if it's specifically political, and we're also working on that as humans, learning to get better at how we run these types of information portals. But I did hear things that feel really useful to share on Facebook, so definitely put the post up, and then it will go through if it's something that feels aligned with general Isla Vista health and wellness and community goodness and community betterment. So there's that. Does that make sense? Kind of a weird way to say it, but we're working on like firming that up. Any other questions? We have about like 1 minute left. It's amazing.
Yeah, can I share? Can I share something real quickly?
Yeah.
So this week, I'm going to drop a link in the chat. This is the link where you can, if you have concerns about private residences or businesses that are not following the public health order, you can report them at this link. I've been getting a lot of questions about this, especially as there's been a rise in cases in Isla Vista. So the county's ambassador team will respond if it's a private business complaint, and we're working with them on getting letters that will be sent, notices of violation to residents and property owners in the event that it's a complaint of the private residence. So that's the link in the chat where you can report that.
Thanks for that, Spencer.
One other quick announcement. It's Jonathan Aboud's birthday today.
That's why he's on the call. That makes sense about why there's a nice little cheesecake here. Happy birthday to Jonathan.
Happy
He's
birthday,
not on the call secretly.
Listen to the playback.
Happy birthday.
Is he listening?
I just want to also say, Julia asked a question about what type of masks the Foot Patrol, UCPD is looking to give out. Assuming cloth masks are where it's at, but maybe Ariel can just answer that right quick.
Yeah, the masks we've been giving out are the you've probably seen them. They're the blue UCSB branded masks. I think they're very similar. Well, they're the exact same mask that the Pardall Center has been giving out. But once again, we are doing this on donation base, so I do not believe we will be picky. But yeah, the higher quality, the better.
Okay, thanks, Ariel.
Those blue ones are pretty comfortable, I think.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Great. Thank you all for calling in. Thank you, Lucille, for being our guest. Welcome back, Gina. Happy birthday, Jonathan. We'll do this in 2 weeks again. If you have an agenda item or something that you'd like to share, just email or hit the Facebook post. Thank you, everybody, and happy August 27th. Hi, Devin. Also my sister's birthday. Many birthdays. Have a good day, everyone. See you later. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Melissa. I have a quick
Guys,
question.
have a good day. Bye.
Hi, Ash.